Well, thank you for joining us on March 23rd, 2017 at our business meeting. County Administrator Don Krupp will call a roll call.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Of course, we are joined this morning from County Counsel, Mr. Chris Storey, and for your clerk to the board, Mary Rathke this morning. So I'll start with the roll. Commissioner Humberston?
Here.
Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Schrader?
Here.
Commissioner Savas?
Here.
Chair Bernard?
Here. First item on the agenda is, pardon? Oh.
Thanks, Mary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I saw Les come in late, and I was thinking, well, if it's citizen communication, and so first up is citizen communication, Brian Johnson and Les Poole. Thank you for coming today.
All going well for you, Jim?
Pardon?
All going well for you being the boss?
Okay. We'll find out, won't we?
So far, so good, right, Jim?
So good. Okay, so I have I went through a few things with Ken, so I'll be a little closer. So my question is, have we closed Barlow Zimmerman yet?
Excuse me?
Have we closed Barlow Zimmerman yet? The road project? This is like a two-year-old question. Does anybody know?
I'm not aware of the current status of that.
All I know is the email, I think, that I was copied on a couple, 3 months ago or 4 months ago, and it was not closed as of yet.
Okay.
I haven't got any update
Have,
of the list of projects that were open and
yeah,
closed.
okay.
Yeah.
So have we changed the IGA with the state of Oregon on the strawberry
On what?
overpass? Have we changed the IGA with the state of Oregon on the Strawberry Lane job?
Those are staff questions. I don't know the answer. As near as I know, that's still open as well.
Yeah.
Well, because, you know, when you and me were standing on that bridge last year, Cartmel said she was going to change the IGA. So that's why I was wondering.
We'll find out.
Okay.
If staff could,
I will find out on both points and get back to Mr. Johnson directly. So.
okay.
Okay. So I have a question on your building code. Your building code says your concrete sidewalks, driveways, driveway aprons has to be 3,300 PSI at 28 days. My question is if I want to pour a sidewalk or a driveway, an apron, and pour it out a 2,200 pound mix, can I do that?
You know that county commissioners are generalists, so we will probably have to find that out for you too.
Well, I mean, it's your building code.
Right, but none of us were here when those building codes were written. Our job is not to dig into the weeds so much, so we'll have to find that out, whatever that means.
So Brian briefly brought this to my attention here, Brian Johnson, the person who's speaking, but I'm not fully, I think you were going to look into whether or not.
Well, I'm still looking.
Okay.
Would you repeat the question, though, for me, please?
Well, your Clackamas County Building Code, you can go to the page, says it has to be your sidewalk, your driveway aprons, driveways need to be 3,300 PSI at 28 days. My question is, let's say as a builder, I want to pour 2,200 PSI because it's a lot cheaper, right? Do I get a waiver? I mean, it's a basic standard, black and white, yes or no. I mean, it's kind of like if I want to build something below your county code, is that all right? I don't think that even has to be checked out with the building department. I think that's pretty much a yes or no answer.
Well, the presumption was, if it's not up to standard, the presumption would be, obviously, it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be. So no.
I've got my light on. I was just going to say, I mean, that's a technical matter relevant to the building code. I don't know the answer specifically to Mr. Johnson's question. Happy to follow up and ask our building official what the answer to that question is. My presumption is though that the standards that are in the building code are in full force and effect, but there is some discretion in the building code afforded to the building official to do alternative methods, provided they provide some measure of equal, meeting equal standards. But I don't know if there's something specific in this circumstance that would speak to a waiver, but we'll follow up.
Yeah, so maybe, Sheriff, you could, Brian, could you just allude to what you think that, where this might actually be, the standard might be?
Well, I don't know if they're
Not
going to,
abided.
I don't know if they're going to change their code, because once I bring up the question, are they going to change the code tomorrow? Why would I want to do that?
Have you seen us change code the next day before?
No,
Okay, well,
but, you know, so,
be shocked if they did.
and I just want to thank for Ken and Sonia. I have a few problems here once in a while that I pretty much prove, but I'm the bad guy. But 99% of the people that work for the county are great people. My problem lies with the 1% that for some reason make up their own little rules. It's like the sewer guys, all those people, we backed that sewer plant. And this board, not you two, and not Paul, did not want the only city, the only citizens, not to have a vote for the sewer plant. And we backed that sewer plant. But this board, the old board, was adamant that we would not get a vote, and we ultimately got that vote. Because we're behind the sewer plant, always have been. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mr. Johnson. Les?
Good morning. It's good to see that we get a response when questions are asked. You hear me say this from time to time, and those of you that know the history know why. And interestingly, last week I brought something up, and hopefully anyone that's in the audience or that's on camera that didn't see me speak goes back and takes a look at my comments, because I brought up what was the definition of a disruptive person. And my concern is quite sincere, because we're seeing people take over meetings in Portland. It's happened a couple times at the Capitol. And I mentioned last week that Oregon's Constitution, and I don't sit and read it and quote and hide behind it with everything I say. I don't need to do that, but I want to reassure you that the Constitution says that I have no right to shout over the top of the gentleman that was here. No one right now has the right, nor would I expect anyone to deny me my rights to speak. They have, what I'm getting at is they have no right to deny me the right to speak, any more than I don't have the right to deny you folks to do your business and for you to speak. And to turn this into a big zoo as they have in Portland is ridiculous. People that are out of control, people that are truly disruptive, need to be escorted out the door. And hopefully we don't get any of that crazy conduct here, but if we do, I would expect that would be the solution. And in my comments last week, I mentioned that we had a process in 2013 with an ordinance, and afterwards Commissioner Bernard alluded to the guidelines on the wall. But those guidelines started out as mandates that had some things in them that the citizens were opposed to. One of the rules that was originally in the draft was that we couldn't ask you questions. How ironic. So my point in this is, here we have rapport. Here we have reasonable communication. And when I or anyone shows up, I expect us all to be reasonable. Doesn't mean you can't raise your voice or be emotional or be upset. And we all are looking for responses. When I ask a question, it's not usually a specific question. It's typically in a broader sense. And I just compare our decorum here, which we citizens fought real hard to help change and create. We changed the culture. And I compare that to what I see going on elsewhere, and I just want to make sure it's maintained. And yes, Commissioner Bernard, there is an ordinance There's a library ordinance, there's a person in charge ordinance, and should something occur here, we need clarity because we're going to keep this place sane, and we don't want to be blown off, so to speak. It hurts my feelings. Not that people disagree with me, but it hurts my feelings when people blow off something that applies to us all. We're all human here. As always, I appreciate your time. Hopefully I didn't bounce around there too much with that.
The only change really that since the last board and this board is that there was a tendency to people to ask staff and expect a response, which is not appropriate. So in this case, you can ask me and I can ask, or we will get you the answer, and that's the only difference. And when you talked about decorum, there was one member of the commission who was working on what's on the wall there, and what you may have seen in the beginning was a draft. And what ended up was an agreement that we all came to, and it's actually not an ordinance, it's just guidelines. And I am so appreciative that Clackamas County is not where other people are. We've done well, and that's in part to you. So I mean, we've done well, and I'm hoping that we'll continue to do as well as we are. Thank you.
Great, and I would just add that, again, the initial proposal for those rules were what the citizens took umbrage to, and had it not been the citizens getting involved, we were going to have rules that were an ordinance or were binding rather than just suggested behavior. But again, I will close by saying I appreciate the decorum here and look forward to it continuing. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The next item on the agenda, Mr. Krupp.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is a previously approved land use issue. Does not involve any additional public testimony. It is to consider the revision to the previously adopted zoning and development ordinance number 258, or ZDO 258. There are amendments to the comprehensive plan and zoning and development ordinance to implement the Clackamas Regional Center Connections project. And we have Mr. Nate Boderman from County Counsel's office to present this to you.
There you go. Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Nate Boderman, Assistant County Counsel. This morning we have for you a revised version of a previously adopted ordinance related to the Clackamas Regional Center's Connection Project and Planning File ZDO 258, which included specific revisions to the county's comprehensive plan and zoning and development ordinance. The Board of County Commissioners held a public hearing on this on September 21st, 2016, and by a vote of 4-0 approved ZDO 258 as recommended by the Planning Commission. On December 19th, 2016, the board actually adopted the ordinance, the official ordinance. And as you know, adopting land use regulations typically includes a multi-step process, which first includes an oral vote after consideration of the testimony, which is then followed by adoption of a formal ordinance at a later business meeting. In this case, it was discovered that the materials that were formally adopted inadvertently included a couple draft maps that were not part of the original packet. The correct versions of the maps had appeared in all the materials before the Planning Commission and before the Board of County Commissioners when you made the vote back in September. But simply put, the purpose of the amended ordinance before you today is to ensure that the formally adopted ordinance correctly reflects the proposal that was previously approved. So the revised ordinance before you today includes those corrected maps and reflects the board's decision made on September 21st, 2016. So with that, I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
So in this case, we're probably going to poll because we have two commissioners who were not here last year and cannot vote, so they will be abstaining.
And right here, you want to ask me to read it. I forgot to put it.
Okay. So I would ask for a motion to read ZDO 258 by title only.
I move we read ZDO 258 by title only.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to read ZDO 258 by title only. And County Clerk, would you please read that by title only?
Call the poll first, and then I'll read it.
Okay. So please poll the commission.
Oh. Commissioner Schrader?
Aye.
Commissioner Savas?
Aye.
Chair Bernard?
Aye. I think we should put on the record you should ask them and they should abstain. Just-
Commissioner Fisher,
Abstain?
Commissioner Hubbardson.
Abstain.
Great.
Okay, now I'll read it by title. It's ordinance number ZDO 258, an ordinance amending Chapter 5 and 10 of the Clackamas County Comprehensive Plan and Sections 202, 1007, 1202 of the Clackamas County Zoning and Development Ordinance.
So now I will entertain a motion to approve the revisions.
I move we approve the revision to the previously adopted zoning and development ordinance 258, amendments to the comprehensive plan and zoning and development ordinance to implement the Clackamas County Regional Center Connections Project as presented today.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revision to the previous adopted zoning and development ordinance 258 amendments to the comprehensive plan and zoning and development ordinance to implement the Clackamas County Regional Center Connection Project as presented today. Any further discussion? Okay, go ahead.
Commissioner Schrader,
Aye.
Commissioner Savas,
Aye.
Commissioner Fisher,
Abstain?
Commissioner Humberston,
Abstain.
Chair Bernard.
Aye. Motion carries. Guess that's all I got to say about that one. Next is a public hearing, 3 public hearings, and I would ask Don Krupp to introduce the subject.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We do have 3 public hearings this morning. The first is to consider a board order for a boundary change proposal, CL 16-007. It's the annexation to the Tri-City Service District. And in addition to Mr. Storey from County Counsel, we have Mr. Ken Martin, our boundary change consultant, to address you in this.
Good morning, Commissioners. Chris Storey from County Counsel's office. This is a proposed annexation to the Tri-City Service District. I will pause, as I often do, to note that you are not sitting as the governing body of the Tri-City Service District. This is a proposal to you as the Board of County Commissioners who is tasked with the responsibility of boundary changes for all special districts within the county. It just happens to be a special district that you're also the governing body of. So you're wearing your county commissioner's hat as we consider this matter. This is a proposal for a single parcel, 3.5 acres in West Linn. And Ken has ably run the process and posted notices and invited the public to show up. This is distinct from, you maybe recall that a little while ago we started a process to annex in some properties in West Linn and Oregon City that had been identified as within the city but not within the district as sort of an omnibus annexation process. That will be coming up to you next week. Since we had already started the specific parcel process, we went ahead and did this one rather than including it in the larger process, which you will hear next week. The findings are attached in our proposed board order, and everything seemed hunky-dory. That's a legal term.
Great. Ken, are you?
I don't really have much to add, except the city has acceded to this, which they're required to do. And we hope that all the annexations to the cities from here on out will be followed by these annexations to Tri-Cities, and we won't get in the position that we're in on the proposal next week.
Great. Any questions?
I just had one question, Mr. Chairman. I was curious as to whether or not, and I'm trying to make sure I understand this clearly. Is the property that's being considered for annexation contiguous to the district in which it is being annexed?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? So I don't think I ever, okay, so I'm opening the public hearing, ask if anyone wishes to testify on this matter. Okay, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move we approve the board order boundary change proposal CL 16-007 annexation to Tri-City Service District.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to approve the board order boundary change proposal CL 16-007 annexation Tri-Cities. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Next item is, well,
Yes, so it is a consideration of another board order for a boundary change proposal, CL 17-001. It's annexation to Sunrise Water Authority. And again, we have Mr. Storey and Mr. Martin here to talk with you about this item.
Good morning. This one, I don't have to remind you that you're sitting as the governing body of the county and now the service district because you are not the governing body of Sunrise Water Authority. Happily, they also have to follow a similar process as every other special district, and the board reviews boundary changes to ensure compliance with ORS 198. And I will let Ken describe the property.
This is about an 8-acre piece inside this, this is an 8-acre piece inside the city of Happy Valley. As often happens when you get on the edge of Happy Valley, some of these properties are not already in a water authority, and the water authority serves the entirety of the city of Happy Valley, so we have to come through and do a subsequent annexation to the authority after they annex into the city. The property is going to be developed in conjunction with some property that's already in the city and already in the water authority that's adjacent. I know of no other problems with the proposal. We have services available.
Okay. Any questions?
Same question, contiguous to the water district?
Yes.
I will note, for the record, it's actually not a requirement for service districts to be contiguous, but that is the case in this instance.
Understood. I always get a little concerned about cherry stemming, whether it's for public services or even actual annexation into cities.
Right.
I think it creates other kinds of problems. That's why I asked the question.
Right.
So thank you.
And certainly cities are required to be contiguous, and this board policy requires for generally annexation of service districts that provide utility services. We ask that the property be annexed into the city first, and then we look to provide those services, whether it be through CCSD1 or other service districts.
Okay, great. So I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone wishes to testify on this matter. Hold the crowds back. I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move we approve the board order boundary change, proposal CL 17-001, annexation to the Sunrise Water Authority.
Second.
We moved in second to approve the board order boundary change proposal CL 17-001, annexation to Sunrise Water District. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Next item?
Yes, so the next item is again another board order. This would be approving the transfer of property to the city of West Linn. We have both Lindsay Wild from our Business and Community Services Department and Kathleen Rastetter representing County Counsel in this matter. So.
Good morning, Chair Bernard, Commissioners. I'm Kathleen Rastetter from County Counsel, and I have Lindsay Wild from Property Services here. And we are asking today for approval of a board order. This came before the board in a study session on February 28th, 2017. And this is a transfer of property, a sale to the city of West Linn. It's a park. It's adjacent to a park, and they want to purchase it for use as a park. It's adjacent to their Burnside Park. So we're here today to ask for approval of that transfer. If there are any questions.
Nope, I remember that one well. The triangular piece.
Well, I'm thinking about a question. What's the value of this property?
The assessed value on it is $1,185.
And they're going to pay us $1,100? No.
The transfer value for back taxes, penalties, interest of $445.
Okay. Well, the reason I asked this, I mean, why don't we just give them the property?
Well, they're just covering the taxes. I think that's pretty good.
Back taxes, penalties.
Yeah, I know it's pretty good, but this might be one of those things that when we talk about helping out our community, something we would consider. Of course, that's pretty low. I mean, if it was $30,000 and they had to pay $30,000, it might be something that we seriously want to talk about. But I guess in this case, it's pretty minor.
Yes, and they're willing. They've approved the sale at $445.
Okay,
Council
great.
of West Linn.
Any other discussion on this matter? So I'll open the public hearing and ask if anyone would like to speak on this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion.
I move we approve the board order approving the transfer of property to the city of West Linn.
Second.
We moved and seconded to approve the board order transferring the property, a piece of property to West Linn. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda.
Okay, today's consent agenda. Under Health, Housing, and Human Services, approval of a subrecipient grant agreement with Comprehensive Options for Drug Abusers, Inc. for housing assistance and services for residents in alcohol and drug recovery. The second one is approval of a local subrecipient agreement with Todos Juntos for Kindergarten Partnership Innovation Services. Under Transportation and Development, approval of an agreement with the City of Molalla to provide the city with on-call planning services. Approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the City of Wilsonville regarding transfer of road authority for portions of Stafford Road and Advance Road. And approval of a board order designating maximum weight limitations on Island Road and Suter Road. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. Under administration, approval of a resolution in the matter of participation in funding activities with the Oregon Office for Community Dispute Resolution. Under business and community services, a board order approving a tax foreclosed property for declaration as surplus and established minimum bid amounts. And public and government affairs, we have a board order in the matter of approving an extension of the cable television franchise with Comcast of Oregon 2, Comcast of Tualatin Valley, and Comcast of Illinois, Ohio, and Oregon. And that completes today's consent agenda.
Any questions?
I have one question, Mr. Chairman. On the Wilsonville approval of an intergovernmental agreement regarding the transfer of road authority for portions of Stafford Road and Advanced Road. I know we have situations where we'll have a section of road that's owned by a city, and then on that same road, there might be a mile or so of road owned by us, and then another section of that road that's, again, owned by a city. So my question is, this piece that we are giving to the city of Wilsonville, is it in that situation where we have another one of those pieces where we're going to have to maintain something in between other pieces of city road?
So I don't know that this question could be answered at this time, could it?
Yeah, no, this involves a specific matter related to the construction of a school roadway project. So I don't have an answer for you with respect to how this fits in with the rest of the roadway system adjacent to the area.
Well, then I'll call staff later and ask the question. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Okay, so any other questions or discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. The next item is County Administrator
Point of order,
update.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I don't believe we actually made a motion.
We didn't?
I don't believe so.
Oh, okay.
So
Well,
I
let's go.
would move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay,
And I'll second.
thanks for catching that. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries. Thanks for catching that.
He threw us off with his question.
Sorry about that.
County Administrator updates.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got several items. First, I wanted to give you a quick update from our Transportation and Development Department relating to our Drive to Zero program. We received a $10,000 Good Neighbor Citizenship Auto Safety Grant from State Farm Insurance. And this grant will help us support our Posters and Coasters contest, which is really designed to help high school students learn about the importance of safe driving. And we also have something to share with you from Health, Housing, and Human Services. One of our adult behavioral health coordinators, Stephanie Barnett-Harrow, was able to give a presentation at this week's National American Society on Aging Conference in Chicago. So that's quite an honor for her to be able to do that, along with 3 colleagues. Stephanie was invited to present on the innovative strategies that have been developed by our regional team here. That's made up of specialists from Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas County. I just wanted to give a good shout out to Stephanie for doing that. And then just yesterday, we had hundreds of local 4th and 5th graders who attended the annual Celebrating Water event at Clackamas Community College, where they learned how to protect water quality within our shared watershed. This is a really popular event, and it's coordinated by our water education team, which includes Water Environment Services in partnership with our Sustainability Office. And then finally, and this is really good news, we just closed the application period for soliciting for interest for our Citizen Academy, and we received some 53 applications from citizens throughout Clackamas County asking to be a part of the program. That's like a 51% increase over the preceding year, so that means there's a lot of developing interest in our Citizens Academy. So we will, out of those 53 applications, we will select 25 individuals to participate in this year's Citizens Academy program. So it's a great effort. Appreciate the work that staff does to make this happen.
Great, thank you. And first up is Mr. Savas.
Yeah, well, we've had our retreat on Monday and Tuesday, and we talked about quite a few things, and our strategic plan primarily, and updating part of that. Yesterday morning, we had a discussion with the Economic Development Commission about dealing with some of that, some of the poverty, the jobs, economic development opportunities in one of our harder hit areas. And I keep on going back. We were really experiencing, when you look at the unemployment numbers and you read the newspapers, you know, it looks great when you read the newspaper, you know, it's coming back. But I think, as Commissioner Fisher said yesterday, there are some people that are left out of that recovery. And, you know, I think that is the area where we need to make sure we don't do any further harm or jeopardize some of those current businesses where people have certain skill sets and those businesses are viable today, because sometimes they cannot survive, sometimes a move or big changes. And I think just the closure of a local business down there that's been recognized in the media, Tebow's Restaurant, for example, will be closing in May. It's you know, there were some good paying jobs in there. There were some entry level jobs there as well, but that's just one example, I guess, of the impact of the storm, and a number of things have impacted the viability of that business to continue minimum wage requirements and so on. But I think it's really important that we, based on our decision last Thursday, as far as doing an assessment of the area, that we really kind of value the businesses that are here today and help them succeed. And that was part of our dialogue on Monday and Tuesday, was really along the lines of how do we help retain some of the businesses that we have and help them along. And sometimes as they grow, you know, they might need either a little bit more land, or maybe they need some infrastructure, or an area where they're served better by infrastructure like roads and transportation. But the reason that's important is because they employ our citizens, not because they're businesses solely for the sake of a business making a profit. It's really about the taxes they pay the state legislature, which in turn equate to monies that are granted in our safety net for people that are more vulnerable. And also property tax and other activity that just benefits everyone. So I think that's an important fundamental understanding that, you know, our efforts on economic development are about the greater good for the county and the citizens within. So I appreciate the working together Monday and Tuesday in the teamwork environment that we had, and looking forward to continuing that through the year.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Fisher?
I want to echo some of what Commissioner Savas said. We had a really wonderful, I felt inspiring retreat, and what was, for me, most inspiring as being a new member of this board are the very unique qualities that each board member brings and how we were really able to listen to one another and come up with, I thought, really great strategies for Clackamas County. As Commissioner Savas said, we're in a place now where we have done some great recovery out of the recession, but there are communities that have been left behind in that recovery. So to actually strategize and come up with a strategic result that says we're going to target really all of the interdisciplinary parts of Clackamas County to have an impact on poverty. Some poverty is as high as 30% in areas of the county. What can we do? And we can do a lot in Clackamas County because we have a lot of ways to impact. So pulling together the best of our thinking, there's some opportunity to do some very good things. So I was very inspired by my colleagues and our teamwork and looking forward to continuing the work. Just on other things that we've done in the last few days, Commissioner Humberson and I went up to the mountain and went to the Rhododendron Community Planning Organization meeting. Before that, I invited members of the CPO to go on a hike with me on the West Salmon Trail, and it was great. Just a little plug, Gerald Murphy, who's on the Sandy Watershed Council, gave me quite an education about how our fish has increased 300% in the Salmon River since the Marmot Dam was removed 10 years ago. I learned a lot about our watersheds, and he actually couldn't go to the CPO meeting because he had to go plant trees, and that was really wonderful connecting in that way out in nature. It was raining, but that didn't stop us from going on the hike. Also, yesterday, Commissioner Schrader and Commissioner Humberson and I were at Los Ninos Suenton. Am I saying that correctly?
Casa Hogar.
Say it, Chair Bernard.
I've always struggled with that
It
one.
was actually at Casa Hogar.
Okay, say it, Commissioner Humberson.
Casa Hogar.
All right. So we were there. It's one of our domestic violence shelters. It has been in existence for 17 years. We were celebrating 17 years of them assisting Latino families from domestic violence. And what was really affirming going there yesterday as part of our strategic planning retreat was how do we look at domestic violence? And our current goal is that there'll be no homicides, domestic violence-related homicides in Clackamas County. Last year, we met that goal. We don't know if we will meet that goal in the future because it's very difficult for the county to influence homicide, but we can, with that goal, bring together all of the different players and focus on it. We added another goal at our strategic planning retreat to successfully transition families out of domestic violence relationships. And what was really great yesterday is, of course, I'm quizzing people about, like, what do you do and how do you do it? And what I was very pleased to see is that the programs are keeping data and they do know how successful their programs are. So for us at the county to measure how we're doing in that regard is a great opportunity to take programs to results, and that's exciting to me.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Schrader?
Yes, I'd like to echo some of the sentiments I heard. It was a good retreat. I think that we are working extremely well together as a board, and we're going to do great things for the county. It was very productive, and it made me believe that we are opening our opportunities up for great things to happen in this county. One great thing that I wanted to mention, excuse me, I'm buzzing here, and I'm going to shut that down. It happens. I wanted to let my colleagues know and folks know that our China Forum on March 31st is sold out. We have the China Forum. It's the e-commerce export platform. It's been the Oregon-China Sister State Relations Council and Xinjiang Economic and Technological Development Area. We are hosting, as a county, the 7th Oregon-China Economic Forum. It's hosted with folks like the Port of Portland, Association of Oregon Counties, the Oregon Department of Agriculture, the Northwest Regional China Council. We are sold out at 300 people. And the whole intent of this forum is to give our smaller to medium-sized businesses an opportunity to market their products to Chinese consumers. And basically, it's an opportunity to set up an e-commerce store. So we're very proud of that. Our county has been kind of spearheading a lot of these conversations. This is the first time in my knowledge that it's evidently throughout the region. It looks as if it's going to be highly attended. So I hope my colleagues come to this. Secretary of State Dennis Richardson will be speaking. He actually, when he was a state representative, did quite a number of visits back and forth to China and actually helped spearhead a lot of this. So it's going to be kind of an interesting day with that. The other piece of this is, and I think that I hope Commissioner Humbertson is aware of this, we are just putting forward our USDA grant for cross-laminated timber. And that grant is actually hopefully going to be studying how we can get a sustainable supply chain from, we hope, maybe our ONC County lands, our federal forests, so on and so forth. We did speak to Senator Wyden's office about a year ago, and they gave us a directive, if you come up with something that the senator can support and help push forward in this area or issue, that we would be glad to see it. So we're in process of making sure that we're getting that information back to them, and hopefully we can get something going here to help spur. And I know Ken is very, very interested in this, and we're probably both going to be going to the CLT forums together as well. So that's in the works too. Yes, we went to our. Yesterday, we went to our domestic violence program for our Latina and Latino community, and it was great. They were so warm. It made me feel like I was back with my Italian family, actually, if you want to know the truth. There was food, there was laughter, there was good conversation with a very dedicated, wonderful group of women, serving a population that is one of our bigger folks of color population here in Clackamas County, our Hispanic community. So that was really fun. And tomorrow I will be heading to Salem with Bridget Daisy, our workforce director here, and I will be talking to some of our legislators about workforce issues, and particularly we're trying to push forward the Manufacturing Innovation Center, because we think it will be very strategic and help inform our community college's new Manufacturing Innovation Center that is going to be opening up in April. So more on that too. Finally, arts and culture in the county. Lakewood Theater Company presents God of Carnage. Boys will be boys, but adults are usually worse, much worse. When two 11-year-old boys get into a fight at the park, their parents meet for the first time to discuss the disastrous outcome. In attempting to act like the adults they are, their strained, polite conversations devolve into immature arguments, proving that these parents are just as bad as their children. Thursday, Saturday, March 23rd through 25th, 7:30 p.m., and Sunday, March 26th, 2 p.m. at Lakewood Center for the Arts. I'm going to go to the Sunday matinee. Oregon Humanities Conversation Project. This, colleagues, looks like it's very interesting. Homeless in the Land of Plenty. Home is one of the most intimate places we can know. It's a place that provides for and shapes our expression of security, identity, and even play. But an estimated 100 million people around the world lack shelter altogether, and as many as 1 million lack adequate permanent housing. Join storyteller Ryan Stroud to share your stories and learn about the experiences of others. Another thing I might recommend, I'm reading the book Evicted right now. And it is also a narrative of how people devolve into poverty and homelessness. It's a great book. It's a very moving narrative. And I think it was written by, we heard him speak, didn't we, Commissioner Savas? Matthew Desmond of Harvard University. Anyway, this conversation is Saturday, March 25th, 3 p.m. at the Oregon City Oregon City Library. And if you want to learn more, go to clackamasartsalliance.org. Okay. Thank you.
Great, Commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, we had the opportunity to tour Benchmade Knives and see their production facilities, which they have recently expanded. And just so that people know, they employ 300 of our local residents and are hiring about 15 people per month because of how well their business is growing. They'll probably be looking either in some way or another to expand, and I don't know if they'll expand on that site or expand somewhere else in Oregon City or what, but I would encourage this board and our administration to do everything we can to keep them. They pay family wages, they train people, and they have a full benefit package for their employees and a promotional ladder for people who are interested in working their way up. So those are the kind of employers that we like, and I think we should do everything we can to support them. Yesterday in the evening, I attended the Beaver Creek Hamlets meeting, and kudos to our staff. As you know, it's been an issue about receiving land use applications for our CPOs and hamlets in a timely enough manner that they can always respond to them. So doing that by email has been an issue. They got their first two for this meeting the day before the meeting and the day of the meeting of the 5 that they had to work on last night. Consequently, they were able to evaluate them and make decisions and forward their recommendations to our Planning Commission in a timely manner. Had they not received those 2 by email, their next meeting would have been out of sequence and they would have not been able to respond. So it worked. They were happy. They wanted me to make sure that everybody understood that, and I have a call into Ms. Cartmel to let her know also. Yesterday, we attended the State of the Cities luncheon, and having been to a couple of those, I thought the tone of positiveness, of accomplishment, of an attitude towards the county and those relationships was probably the most positive one I'd seen in the last couple of years, and I appreciated that. I think we have an opportunity to truly build good partnerships with our city partners. That said, it doesn't mean that we can give everything away that they may want. I understand that, and hopefully they will understand it also. But tone and tenor and how you say yes or how you say no to any given thing is as important as what it is that you say, and it allows you to move forward even when you have to say no and work together collaboratively on other issues. So I was appreciative of that tone yesterday. Chair Bernard and I took a tour a week or so ago that I mentioned, I think, at one of our last meetings up on the mountain to look at some of the decrepit areas and problem areas that concern the community in Welch's and Rhododendron. And I just point out that Mr. Krupp, our manager, and a team of folks from Health and Human Services and other departments are going to be going up there and taking their own look at it and see what we can do to help those communities target some of the problems that they have. It's been noted by several of the CPOs that we have been attending that they really appreciate seeing county commissioners attending. I know we have crowded schedules, but and I think we pay more attention to our rural communities than they otherwise understand. But if they don't see your face at meetings, they don't really know that you're paying attention. So I think it behooves us to do that whenever we can. Next week, Martha and I know, will be attending a couple of CLT conferences that have to do with wood products, and looking forward to that. Martha, on the Chinese forum, I had originally scheduled to go. A personal thing has come up at my home that's going to have to be addressed, and I need to be present for it. So if there is someone who can use my seat, since I've RSVP'd, please make sure that someone else gets an opportunity.
We'll do that.
Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
I think that's all I had on that, but I have the dog.
Oh.
So, this is Sally. She is simply full of good news for her new family. She is a loving, busy, playful 6-year-old with lots of energy. She's an excellent candidate for outdoor fun like hikes. Her German Pinscher breed is described as intelligent, courageous, and vivacious. She is a medium-sized girl, but a major activity pal. Sally is more than little kids can handle, but teens are perfect. You'll spot her by her gorgeous Pinscher ears, sleek and elegant build, and lovely black fur, not to mention my brown booties. For more information about Sally and other adoptable dogs, please contact Clackamas County Dog Services at 503-655-8628 or www.clackamas.us/dogs. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Chinese, when I was mayor of Milwaukee, I had the opportunity to go to many breakfasts or parties for like the Emperor of Japan's birthday, and when his daughter got married, her son, or the baby was born. Hopefully we'll be able to develop a relationship like that where we can celebrate those partnerships.
Well, I'm hoping that the rest of our body, Chair, has an opportunity when these next Chinese trips come up that Jen puts together, that all of you need to have a chance to have that piece, because we have that sister county now, and the people are beautiful, the culture's beautiful, and they would love to have our commissioners there, and really, let's.
Well, the Pacific Rim is a very important trading partner with Oregon, and anything we can do to enhance that would be great. One thing, I didn't actually know we had a Latino domestic violence shelter before. Did you? Maybe I did, but I forgot. It's been a while since we had any visit with them. But one thing that we do have is a family justice center where in a situation where there's domestic violence, there's a one-stop place to address that issue. And one of the concerns I was hearing is that a lot of the Latino community is actually afraid to report domestic violence because, there may be ICE might be contacted and they could be taken out of the country. One of the reasons we named the Family Justice Center also the safe place is that it is a safe place. Should, please do not address this issue out of fear. Clackamas County is committed to a safe place where you can get out of that cycle. It's very important. It's also important that, to provide, we also have a Camp Hope in the summer. Lots of kids who are in that cycle of domestic violence have very little to look forward to. And our Camp Hope gives them an opportunity to have hope. Hope can do a lot to cure society's ills. I went to Metro Zoo new education facility last night. Lovely drive at 5 o'clock. But it turns out I was the second one there, so it wasn't that bad. Also, I ran into Nancy Ide. These folks out here in the audience have been working on homelessness, houselessness. Nancy Ide is a city councilor at Oregon City, so contact her. She said they had a great meeting yesterday on homelessness, and they were looking forward to sharing that with Clackamas County and other regional partners. So reach out to her. This morning I attended the West Side Economic Alliance, another fun drive over to Tigard, and they had speakers talking about cultivating a healthy Oregon economy. One of the things you mentioned, Commissioner Savas, is that we've done a great job in creating jobs for highly skilled and the low-skilled workers, but we have done a very poor job at those people in the middle. Those people who used to maybe have low-skill, highly paid jobs do not have jobs, and those are some of the folks who are are homeless now. And so we need to do a much better job with that. Also, the difference, Oregon's unemployment is 4%, which is very low. But that's only true in the metro areas. It is not true in the rural communities. A lot of those folks cannot get jobs. And so Oregon is trying to make sure that, not dissimilar to what we just did on Monday or Tuesday, focus our efforts on those areas where unemployment is higher, poverty is higher, homelessness is higher, hunger is higher. Oregon's doing the same thing on the economic development front. You need workforce training out to those areas. One of the speakers said that if we had a ton of engineers, we could hire every single one of them. But a lot of those low-skilled workers, we can't find them a job. There are a lot of jobs out there. People are struggling to find a workforce. And so I know that our community college, our Workforce Development Council, it might have a different name, is working really hard to try and do that. My question on the Beaver Creek, was Oregon City Golf Course on there?
Yes.
Yeah, and what was their feeling on that?
They're supportive of, I mean, they understand it's inside the UGB and it's an appropriate annexation. So they didn't have a problem with it. Obviously, because they live in a rural community, they're always concerned about encroachment into the rural area, but they also understand the basic principle in terms of development. You either are going to have increased density so that you can protect your rural areas, or you're going to have sprawl, in which case you will lose those rural areas. So I think they understand, and we had kind of a conversation on that subject.
That's great, because that's not how they used to feel. It used to be very much in opposition of that, and Oregon City did pass the Oregon City Golf Course, I think, comp plan yesterday, I believe, or very recently. And then the other thing is that you know, our GDP in Oregon is one of the highest in the nation. Oregon is rated #1 in a lot of areas. But again, it's not dissimilar to when you think about Clackamas County and what you said at our retreat. Clackamas County looks really good in income levels and housing. When you add in, when you take away Happy Valley, Lake Oswego, West Linn, and some other parts of the county, it doesn't look so good, because those folks are making high wages, and a lot of the other folks, for example, in Milwaukee, North Clackamas County, you even go up into the mountain regions, West Welch's, rhododendron, they're not even close. And also Estacada. No, somebody mentioned Estacada was doing pretty good, but so that's really what we decided is to focus our efforts on those areas that need it most. So I'm really excited. I thought it was a great event. Make sure I got it all here. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so with that, and there's nothing else on the agenda, we're adjourned. Thank you.